Okay, welcome everybody. Us farm wives are coming together this morning to share a little bit about our journeys and the things that we've done in our lives, the tools that we've put in our toolboxes to make our day-to-day a little smoother. So this morning I have with us Deborah, who is a mom to 4 and 1 on the way. And I believe she is located in Alberta. And her and her husband ranch out there and live our farm life. So she's going to share a little bit with us this morning about some of the things that she does.
Good morning. So I love that you asked me to be on. I've never done this style of event before, but I had literally just written up a post the other day about the mindset about being in the farm wife lifestyle. And a lot of people who are not farm wives, they don't understand how this all works. But I was at the beginning of this, I grew up on the farm. I'm also a farmer's daughter. But when I first got married and we had our own farm, I remember like just being frustrated with like the inconvenient meal times and having suppers by myself with the kids all the time. And there was a point where I was like, I just can't do this. Like, we're going to have lunchtime at 6 o'clock. 12 o'clock. We're going to have supper time at 6 o'clock. Like, whether you're here or not, we're going to eat. And then that worked, for a little while. And then I was like, this is not how I want to live my life. This is not how I want to raise my kids. This is not how I remember my mom's mindset around it. She was always very, just kind of go with the flow. And it was never inconvenient for her because she was a farm wife. And I thought that's why I have this desire to raise my kids on the farm. That's why I want this lifestyle. So I got to make sure I make that mindset shift as well. And so I had written up this post and I had a lot of farm wives reach out to me and they could relate and they loved how you bring this, we're all aware of these things, but it's how we approach them. And there's so many things I've learned along the way, like living at least 30 minutes from town, like how to be efficient with groceries, how to be efficient with different seasons of the year. You have more cash flow than others. So you got to make it work. We have more access to like beef and chicken and things like that than most people. So you get like a cow or two butchered at once and you have a lot of hamburger, you have a lot of steak, you have a lot of things that other people don't have. So how can we use that to our advantage and, be efficient with the money and the groceries and the time? So one of the topics that we had talked about sharing on this Zoom was like grocery shopping and meal planning and saving money as a farm wife, which I feel like I love it. I love numbers. I love calculating how I can get things the cheapest. And so my strategy is I like to make a grocery, like one main grocery haul once a month. And I plan ahead for that month, a list of, 25 meals that I know I have all the ingredients in the house to make these meals. And I go out to town and I buy what I need on that day. Because for me, the less amount of times I go to town, the more money I save. Because when I'm there, I buy everything because I'm there. I buy everything that's on sale. So now I just shop the flyers, shop the sales, make the meal plan, buy all the things. You get really good at like making things do. Like if you run out of an ingredient, you find a replacement, you find a substitute, you borrow from the neighbor. Like it's not as convenient to just go down the street to the grocery store. So you just make that work. And like even produce, I've had people ask, well, how does your produce last? It doesn't, but you just can do without. Like you eat your produce in the order that it goes bad. So we eat our bananas first usually and our mandarins, and then apples last for sure a month. So you save those for the end. And then you moved on to your canning and your frozen fruit and veggies. Like it works. It just requires some thinking ahead and some planning. And then of course there's always the times where you like bring meals to the field and you need different, like you're always switching things up. Like I never follow a strict meal plan. It's just the idea to have that all ready and ahead of time. So that's why I always like to encourage other people, because I do think it saves me a lot of money doing it this way rather than just flying by the seat of my pants. So that's
I
kind
like
of
to
my
fly
part
by the
to
seat of
share.
my pants, but I have actually in the seasons like the spring and the fall, I definitely do freezer meals and freeze the vegetables. One thing that I have done, because I swear my husband could live on bread, is I like I make buns once a week. And with all the kids in school now, it helps with sandwiches and has really cut down. Like, I know it sounds goofy, but the bread has definitely cut down in our grocery budget, because I literally would have a freezer full of bread and they'd be gone like every time I went to Costco. And now it's kind of funny because I hardly buy bread now. Like, I buy one package at Costco every 2 weeks when I go, and we're having no trouble with it. But definitely subsidizing with the bun thing. I mean, I guess if I put my time in there, I'm not sure how much, but at least I know my kids are getting something from home, right?
Yeah.
Um, we have had a change in our diet altogether with our youngest being celiac. So I have been able to change the baking as well in our house and get all the cookies and the muffins and all the things with our protein plus in it, with the greens in it, and make it gluten free. And the kids have actually none of them, because I did their like favorite banana recipe. They actually didn't even question that it was gluten free. So it was really easy to do that as well. Um, yes, driving to town, I am also a half an hour from town. So making my list is definitely beneficial. Um, Also doing canning is also beneficial. I haven't done much of it in the last few years, but I raised all of the kiddos on homemade baby food. So that was a big thing in cost savings. I also, for the first 2.5 kids, I did cloth diapers, which was actually a significant savings as well. I'm trying to convince my sister to do it now, but of course, neither one of them think it's a great idea. Um, I'm thought it was perfect because it really helps with potty training as well. So my kids potty trained quicker because they didn't like to be wet. And so then I saved on diapers significantly for sure. Also with some of the products that our supplement company offers, they're high proteins or higher protein. And so that also helps with cutting down the junk food in the day. Like, I mean, I used to eat the Quaker granola bars by the box full, like literally. And they went from, I just noticed they've gone from 6 bars down to 5 bars, and the boxes have, they're no longer 2 for $5 when they're on sale. They're $4.49 or $5.49 in town at the local grocery store now. And when they're on sale, they're 2 for $6 or 2 for $7. Like, they're already going up and they're getting smaller. So I'm like, well, one of those boxes would last one day for lunches. So I would need 5 of those boxes just to get through 1 week of school. Like, it's not even practical. And so have seen huge savings in that, cutting out some of that junk food, replacing healthier meals. I also have a couple of children that have their shakes before they go to school in the morning, and it's way better than cereal, right? Like, they're getting way more nutrients in cereal. And honestly, our shakes are cheaper than a box of cereal. Like, the price of that stuff is going crazy as well. So just saying. But anyways, I will call on Melissa to share now a little bit about the mental part of the background and the stress and what it takes and the toll it takes on a family. She's a mom to 4. Her kids are out of the house or nearly out of the house. They're all adult ages. So she's at a little different stage in life than we are, but definitely can speak to the challenging years, I'm sure.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, there's some good points there in the savings and everything. I know here we've done gardens for a long time because no matter what age, the kids never stop eating and they still come home to eat. So definitely our own beef and chicken has saved us a lot, and making bread and preserving too is a big game changer here. One of the things I think though over the years, I think, and at some point every farm wife struggles with, is like our own health and our own mental well-being. I know I got in a trap a few years ago where I was like, why should I bother getting dressed up today? I'm just going out to feed the cows. Like, who am I going to impress out there? Number 782? Like, she doesn't care. So why? And I would just hang out in like loungewear, or in the wintertime, those comfy fleecy pajama pants. Yeah, that's what would be under my coveralls. And you'd put a toque on and you just didn't care because you're going out in -50 to pull another calf or shovel some manure, and you just didn't. It just got to that point where it was like, why bother? And I stayed there for quite a bit. And I find too, moms give from an empty cup for a long time. And eventually that empty cup is like, I am so dry, I'm just going to crack and fall apart. And that's what happens. And we forget to nourish ourselves and take a moment for ourselves to have that downtime and that quiet time. And I also used to believe that I don't have to work out. I don't have to do yoga. We're so busy here doing physical work. Like, I'm in shape. And the older I got, it was like, I am not in shape at all. Like, I was weak in so many areas. And even just riding my horse to go check cows, I was running out of stamina. Like, I was just like, what is happening to me? So taking that time to, even like just 20 minutes of movement every day makes a huge difference. Journaling, taking a couple minutes to journal, or, read a couple of verses from the Bible just to pick your faith up a little bit. That has helped me over the years a lot. I got away from that too for a long time. And yeah, going for that cup of coffee with your friend to check in, see how she's doing, see how you're doing, where are you today? What are you feeling today? Moms tend to forget that. And a farm life is very high stress at times, depending on the year. We do have low times. But when things are go 24/7, when it's time to take crops off or put crops in, or it's calving time, you tend to just kind of throw things to the side, and you're just running, and you never take that moment to take a step back just for your own sanity. And I think we don't talk about that enough. I think there's a lot of farm wives that struggle with, you have times of loneliness, right? You feel lonely because everybody is working and you're all working usually by yourself. Same thing with the mealtime. You'll have meals ready, supper will be ready and on the table, but you're the only one sitting at it. So sometimes too, we need to take a step back and evaluate, like, what's important to us in this, right? Yeah, I could take a couple meals out to my kids and go ride around the tractor with them and spend some time there with them. Same with my husband. I could make a pot of coffee and meet him out in the field, ride in the tractor and have coffee with him out there. It all depends on what's important to you, right? Where do you want to be in that atmosphere? We don't always have to be doing it all. We don't always have to have the perfect house and the perfect meal, and have the perfect show for everybody. We're allowed to step back and take time out and be ourselves. And a lot of farm wives forget that. So, and it took me a long time. Like, I'll be honest, I'm 43, and it's only been the last, 5 or 6 years that I've really been focusing on my mental health, because you get so wrapped up in your farm and your kids and your home, and you lose yourself. And if it would have been a blessing for me if I would have had some like guidance on how to balance all that. But I don't regret it, because now I'm here sharing it with everybody else and making a difference for others, right? So, and I'm sure like there's days you guys all have the same too, right? Like you just take it day by day and see, check yourself in, see where you're at.
Yes, you're speaking to me. So I'm like, oh yeah, I wear out the pajamas like 110%. I actually just said to my friend yesterday, I was like, instead of like hemming pants, like, could you just make me some more pajama pants out of this really soft material? Because I've literally wore them out. But it came very plain as day. I love to be busy. I love to work, and not for any reason other than, I guess, to avoid all the things I don't want to do, right? Like maybe the laundry or make the bed, like the simple things. But those simple things are huge and important. And I also just said to my husband, I've entered the chauffeuring stage of my life. So the kids are in activities now and I'm just chauffeuring them around. And I'm like, oh, I remember my parents doing this, and I remember dreaming about being on a ranch or a farm, whatever you call it, and doing exactly what I'm doing. Like I'm living the dream, but I don't remember it being this hard. I don't remember my mom like struggling with remembering like where to go and when to be there. Like there was just always people there to help. And so that is one thing I've noticed through even COVID. Like we got to stay home and I was so excited that we got to stay home. But now I'm like, let me out of this box. I want to go to town. Like I want to see people. I want to dress up. But that's just because like I'm alone all day, right? In the chicken barn. And I love going to the chicken barn, and I love the manure. And I always say cleaning the barn is my favorite job. It's brainless. Like it is just, I can take out all my frustrations shoveling crap. Like I don't need to, like, I can't do it wrong. I don't have to think about doing it wrong. But let me tell you, I can sit in the barn for hours doing that just because I don't want to go to the house and clean up the mess. Right? So, but yes, I did mention to Mark that the gym is definitely a thing that I need to invest in that I haven't yet, just because I feel like I'm still in shape and can take on the world. But after a week of cleaning the barn, I'm like, no, age is catching me. Like I need to work a little bit harder. Yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna let Amy share. She's also she's at the teenager age with her family of 4, most of them being women. So the hormones are probably a little high in her house, must say.
Over here.
I remember my stepdad talking about when all of us girls were ragging. And he was like, I'm just going to hang out in the barn. And I'm like, yeah, I can totally think that's where Amy is at right now. So anyhow, she's going to speak to that. And Amy also is pretty cool at the bookkeeping end of things. So she might share little tips on the savings of home-based business.
Thanks, Cheryl. Actually, I really loved listening to you ladies because my groceries are getting pretty small. I go and pick up the 4 things I need because I have to go take my kid to something, right? So it's not a special trip, but then I go to make the next meal and I'm like, oh, okay, now what do we got in the house? So I love that whole going through my meal plan and like actually making sure I have all the groceries to do those meals. And Melissa's comment about activity, it's taken me a lot longer than Melissa. She's really quick because I'm really close to her age. So I do bookkeeping from home, and I have, since I got married, I've actually worked in an accounting firm way back when I was young. So I've always loved that aspect. And I assumed incorrectly that everyone who farmed also loved business. And that's not true, because now I do bookkeeping for a lot of farm families. They do cash flow very well. And when Plexus came into my life, I needed energy so that I could survive my children and love them again, and so that I could keep doing my business and support the farm business. At the time, we were even living in town. So my husband was driving the 20 minutes to the farm in the busy season, in the quiet season. So all those things you guys touched on really hit then and now, because as much as life has changed, it hasn't. Those things are the same. But now I have the tools to help my body adjust to the changing situation. Walks in the door and says, I need help, stand in the gate. Yes, I can pause my life in here and I can go out and help you. And I don't have to take 20 minutes to be upset about it. It just happens. But I can come back and go, okay, how can I make that work in our house for our family? And interestingly enough, those tips on entrepreneurship work in every kind of business. The one thing that I've really enjoyed is the phone. It ain't cheap. I live in Saskatchewan. It ain't cheap. But if my farm is expensing 25% of this, because it should, my Plexus business can expense 25% of this. So now I've increased those pre-tax dollars so that my post-tax dollars last a little longer to help with food. And houses on farms are special. Every tax preparer and individual feel a little differently. I know some people that 90% of household is farm. Great. Some, they're like pushing 25% to make it farm. Okay, whatever works for you. But you can go on and look, okay, so this office I use for my bookkeeping business. That's how much I'm going to expense there. Often I do stuff in the kitchen, a lot of farm stuff in the kitchen. That space I'm going to expense there. And the bathroom is a great place to message people and check other avenues. I'm going to expense that for Plexus. So there's that difference in thought processes. And trips for groceries, which you can't expense a grocery trip for anything. That's personal. But if you go and have coffee with your friend and talk about a business, you can expense the coffee and the trip. If you pick up parts, that one can go for a farm. And because I do bookkeeping and I'm kind of lazy on my own bookkeeping, I just set it in a pile. And then I decide the pile needs to be dealt with, and I decide then where the expense goes. I'm not double dipping. I'm not expensing it everywhere. The government is welcome to come out of me. We'll throw it in a bucket and let them have their fun. But I'm being cognizant about where I'm putting things and what I'm doing with it. And groceries, just because we're with the farm people, you keep those receipts. Shipping, branding, harvest meals, to anybody that's helping you, those can still be expensed because that's a benefit to your working area. Same thing goes with an outside business. If you're doing an event and you buy groceries, that expense works. That's one that is fluid, but you can kind of nail that down and talk to somebody, talk to the neighbor. Like Melissa said, we kind of get into our own little bubble about if they don't have a job and I don't want to call them right now because it's 10:30 and they're working. Oh, I don't want to call Deborah because I know she's at home with her kids and they might be having a nap. And I don't want to call Cheryl because she's probably in the bar. We create our own solitude when there's a lot of people going, I really wish the phone would ring. I just want to talk to somebody. So we can expand that too. And the other one is Plexus products. So when you're doing Plexus, you're doing it for your own health, but you're also doing it for those around you. Now, you can't say 100% of those are expensable for tax purposes, but you can look at your whole year and go, okay, 25% of the product use I can give away for samples, or I take it for this event or that sort of thing. So you can expense some of that. Again, talking to the neighbor to find out what they're doing. Remind me that I do know how to grocery shop. I just have to make the list. Wow, how fun is that?
Yes. I don't think I go to town without picking up a part or a mail or mailing something so that I can keep my mileage, right? Like, so I can write it off, because I can tell you, I just bought a second vehicle just to run around in. So I get how all those expenses add up for sure. And those are some great tips. And for sure, talking to people, I'm definitely one of those people. Amy probably called me out because I I phone her and then I'm like, go to the bathroom. But anyways, because I'm like, oh, I forgot I was supposed to do that. But yes, especially during the day, like now that I have almost all the kids in the school, first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh, what do I do with my time? I just need to talk to somebody. But then once I get started, I'm like, don't bug me. Like, mom's already called me. I'm like, I'll talk to you later. Like, I'm on a Zoom. But, anyways, I think these are some great tips. I feel like one thing I do want to highlight on is these supplements I'm 4 years in, they have literally changed all things in our life, my life, our family's life. And one of the big savings that I want to talk about is the, what's the right word? The not need of going to the doctor anymore. We are 115 kilometers one way to our doctor. And I mean, I'm blessed to have her. She delivered all 5 of my children. I do have her cell phone. So, I mean, I do have quick and easy access, but I have like more than saved my products value in the fact that we haven't needed any prescriptions or trips to the city. Like, I'm talking like 10,000 kilometers I used to claim a year to go to the doctor. None of that. My trips to the city now are the dentist. That's it. So I mean, maybe when you're trying to figure out how to put these into your budget or how to make it pay, besides cutting out some of the junk food, it will long-term come back tenfold in your own health, in your children's health, your husband's health. Like, the whole family will benefit from mom being happy, healthy, all those things, right? Like Melissa said, we pour from an empty cup, and darn right we do. Like, my favorite line was, I'm still alive. Like, I'm here. I'm okay. I'm here. Whether I showed up with any emotion on my face or not, that was the only thing that I knew to say, because I'm either A, gonna like break out crying, or B, I'm gonna like snap on the kid that didn't wear matching clothes. Like, or has his shoes on the wrong feet. Like, who knew? But I just knew if I cracked the egg, it wasn't going to be good. So that was my answer, right? So when you're considering this or telling yourself something, just think of some of the tips that we have shared today and making changes in your own health journey and getting started in and the benefits that can come from it. All of us are available. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us at any given time, as we would love to share. Have a great day. Bye.